The New York Yankees are the subject on today's Sportsnaut interview, and joining us is Erik Boland from New York Newsday. He covers the Yankees. He is the beat writer there, and so much going on. And of course, we got to start, Erik, with Gerrit Cole. Of course, flew out to Los Angeles yesterday for the injury. Tell us what's the latest on him, and what are the Yankees expecting to get in the way of news regarding the injury?
Well, I mean, I can tell you that organizationally, there's certainly, and I try to avoid the cliches when I can, but not always. But organizationally, they're on pins and needles, waiting for the evaluation of Neil Elitrash, who's an orthopedic specialist, and he's out there. Cole is being evaluated and tested, and Elitrash will also look at the results of the MRI and the other testing that Cole underwent in Tampa before heading out there. Obviously, there's something going on in there, and I'll draw this comparison with you, Scott. Aaron Judge also went for an MRI on Monday on his oblique area, and within 12 14 hours or whatever, Judge was standing in front of his locker saying that it came back clean. And then when Boone talked a little while later in Dunedin, he said the exact same thing, that it came back clean. So teams and the Yankees are not unique in this. When the MRIs come back showing absolutely nothing, they can't wait to tell you. When the MRI shows something, generally they lie and say, "Oh, we don't have the results yet." Well, that's nonsense. I mean, anybody who's ever had an MRI can tell you that, generally speaking, you get those results, within an hour or two. And I can guarantee you, with these high-profile athletes and the medical facilities that they go to, they have the results fairly quickly. So, you could conclude with some logic, once they started hemming and hawing about the results of that on Tuesday, that there was at least something that was discovered. It doesn't mean it's season ending, doesn't mean worst case scenario, but there obviously was something in there. The reason why they wanted 4 or 5 doctors, whatever, to read those results and then ultimately have him go to Elitrash. So, look, best case scenario, he starts throwing again in 2 weeks or so. And because it takes pitchers about 6 weeks to build up the regular season, the 1 to 2 months minimum that we saw reported yesterday was kind of well, obviously type of thing, just based on what I'm talking about with the buildup. In his previous outing on the mound, which was March 7th, Scott, he threw 47 or 49 pitches, something like that. Now he's going to be reset back to 0. Even if everything, again, is best case scenario, you're looking at those 6 weeks. He's going to have to go through a full spring training. So I would tell you this. I think the Yankees right now would sign up for 1 to 2 months of Cole being out, because then that would mean that it's inflammation, full rest and recovery. Get him started on a throwing program, maybe in 2 weeks, 3 weeks, something like that, and then you get him by mid-May, end of May, something like that. And I really believe that the Yankees would sign on the dotted line for that, but they just don't know right now. And I can tell you, working sources organizationally, the last few days, people that generally are pretty open with me and will tell me things off the record. I heard from quite a few of them yesterday saying, "Erik, honestly, we just really don't know right now."
Interesting. Yeah. And I mean, look, the reigning, obviously, AL Cy Young Award winner, 664 innings since 2020. He's been a workhorse in that Yankees rotation. And of course, he comes out, the Yankees trade a bunch of young pitching away. Let's be honest here, in the offseason, to get Juan Soto and to bolster that lineup. When you look at this situation, if Cole's out for 2 months minimum, then what do you think? Does this maybe hurry up a signing of a Blake Snell or someone like that to shore up that pitching staff? Or what do you think that the Yankees might do in the case that they are without Cole for quite a while?
Even though the Yankees, Scott, traded away quite a bit of their starting pitching depth in terms of young guys that they believed were on the cusp of the big leagues or already had been in the big leagues, like Brito and Vasquez did a pretty good job last year when they were called upon to start in certain situations. And obviously Michael King at the end of the year, and he was the linchpin to that deal. I mean, San Diego basically said, "You're not getting Soto unless you include Michael King." They asked for a couple of other top prospects that were non-starters too, but ultimately, San Diego said this is going to hurt. If you want Juan Soto, it's going to hurt, and the Yankees desperately needed Juan Soto. Understood that as well. But they believe that they do have a next wave of young pitchers that maybe are even better than the guys that they traded away. Will Warren is on that list, certainly. Luis Heel, who has not pitched in 2 years, has looked really good this spring. Hadn't pitched in 2 years because of a couple of different injuries. Chase Hampton, who ended the year at Double-A, he's probably not quite in that group. Clayton Beater is a guy that they like a lot. Cody Petit is a guy that they like a lot. The long rambling answer is I don't see them opening up the vault for either one of those free agent pitchers, and the reason isn't necessarily because they don't like either one of those guys. They obviously are very familiar with Jordan Montgomery. They drafted him, he developed him, and then traded him a couple of years ago for Harrison Bader. But it's just a matter of they already are over the highest luxury tax threshold. So let's say they were to sign Blake Snell for an average of $30 million a year, they would get taxed at 110% on that, and so that $30 million contract, they actually would be paying $62 million for a pitcher that they do have some questions about. I mean, he's a two-time Cy Young Award winner, but they don't see him as the guarantee that, say, a Gerrit Cole is, and so I think that they're hesitant. First and foremost, it's the $62 million, and I'm just using that as an arbitrary figure. We don't know what the contract would be, but based on his resume, you figure he would get an average of 30 a year probably. So I just don't see that because of the combination of what it would cost them. And additionally, they do believe in some of these young guys. Now, look, at the same time they were trying to get Dylan Cease from the White Sox, but the asking price they just found to be, and I'm not saying it's right or wrong. The Yankees just felt that what the White Sox were asking for was they didn't want that. Their minor league system took a big hit in the offseason because of the Soto deal and also the Verdugo deal and a couple of other ones. They didn't want to dip into that pool again, and Cease, of course, goes to the Padres. But they believe they have enough to withstand, the injury to Cole. I'm skeptical, but I've covered the team 16 years, so I'm always skeptical when they talk up young talent. Sometimes they're right, certainly, but a lot of times they're not.
Yeah, we always hear about that next guy who's going to be the big superstar, right? And you just never know until they can get into the big leagues and actually play consistently and make it.